Gamers, welcome back. We're back in home. Oh my god, I'm so sorry I've been away, but we've had internet nightmares that are still ongoing here, but we've got a solution. It's working, so now we can actually get on with the TDPs. So many of you are asking, like, what happened to Fallout 4? Because you were only watching it through the TDP. I get that. It is complete. We did finish it. We did complete it after the Race to the World First. So I'm going to go through it. I ended up choosing the Brotherhood of Steel as my de facto choice. They were the only one that seemed fun. I didn't agree with anybody. I didn't like them all. But the Brotherhood of Steel seemed like the one that was going to be the most interesting to go with. I loved that, you know, they just ignored that Nick was around. Although later on, they did point out that Nick was there, but not in a way that was going to disrupt gameplay, which they could have done something with. And their job was to just blow up the Institute, just blow it to hell. So I was like, I'm down, man. That sounds fun. Screw the Institute. Those guys suck. They're like stealing people. They're saying they're going to build a new future, but it looks kind of crappy to me. So in we went. I gotta say, the Institute itself was fantastic. Like, the best zone in the game. Like, the crafting of all the androids, the synths, all that stuff was really cool. Finding that some of the scientists just aren't happy. We had a storyline where we got one of them to leave and swap over to the Brotherhood of Steel. There was a definite mix of people who were fully bought into the cult-like environment and people who were like, I don't think this is quite what I signed up for. And I was like, that's cool. That is a very cool approach to take with this. It's not all sunshine and roses. These people are trapped down here. We keep building more and more synths. Some of them are locking us away so we don't have access, but we're like the humans who made them. So it just feels wrong that now they're the ones policing us and keeping us in charge, you know, all in Sean's grand endeavor. But going down with Brotherhood of Steel was great. Storming the place. I cut my son's head off because screw that guy. He was a jerk. I didn't feel anything towards him whatsoever. And then set off the big bomb, which just eradicated everything, which was great. I did spend some time finishing up some stories, going to Salem. That was cool. Revisiting our robot friends in the pirate ship who were trapped atop the building. That was all great. Like, if I was to give a summary, I think it's worth it here before we go to Far Harbor. We didn't do Nuka World, did do Far Harbor. My summary of Fallout 4 is Fallout 4 overall is an extremely good game. It is. It's got obvious problems, right? You can't get away from the fact it's buggy as hell. I had to go through absolute hell to get the game to work. I had to download gigabytes of patches and fixes. It wouldn't work with AMD cards, had to put a different GPU in to get it working. I know you won't have that problem for a lot of people, but those were the issues I had. It took a good full day, like several hours, just to get the game running in a way that made sense. And it still crashed. It still crashed maybe 4 times a day, but it was playable. Get used to spamming your autosave button as much as humanly possible so you don't miss out on too much progress. And it has autosaves built into the game as well. So it got to take that into account, which immediately drops it to like a very low ranking, right? It has to, because you shouldn't have to go through that in order to play a video game. And I know someone there's going, I never had any of those troubles. Great. I did. That's great for you. I did. The main story is also the weakest part of it. Just a massive miss, like bafflingly idiotic choice with the main story that even cursory writing. I am no author by any means. I am not a screenwriter. I'm not a professional writer. I write YouTube videos about video games. But even then, like, the premise of Fallout 4's story is bad. Just objectively bad. There's no sense of urgency for a game that is desperately trying to give you to make you feel like there's a sense of urgency. You must go and rescue your son. You're a mother who watched your husband die. I played the female character. You're a mother who watched your husband die and your child be kidnapped right in front of your eyes. And now an undisclosed amount of time has passed, but there are rumors amongst this wasteland that, yes, he's alive. He's doing something. There's all these things. But at the same time, there's 8 billion things in your way that are just more interesting. And the side stories are far more fun. Like, the idea, which is kind of what they tried to do in Fallout 3, is that you should have a sense of urgency later in the game. I just think a simple change, like, you will believe They could, this is what I would suggest. If I was in the writer's room, I would have gone, let's not do this. It's dramatic, but we can save this. We should wake up in the future and the pod is empty. What happened? Don't know. But we can assume they died, right? Everybody else is dead there. All these, we can assume a bunch of things that mean there's no bizarre sense of urgency about what we're supposed to do. And then later on in the game, we get CCTV footage or something, or somebody who actually kidnapped them tells the story of the fact that they broke in and Sean's still alive. And we needed the DNA of something. So that sense of urgency comes way later in the game when you've probably at a story point, which they can plan, for when you're going to go to the end of the game. Wait, Sean's alive? How? What happened? Yeah, he was kidnapped, right? Like, this kind of stuff would have come up later. But initially, you're like, I assume they're dead. Or something happened, like this place was ransacked a long time ago. You know, you have the environment be decrepit. It's like you survived for some reason, but everybody else is gone. And the whole place is ruined and wrecked or whatever. So you just wouldn't believe they were alive by any means. In fact, you could find piles of bones, all sorts of things. And you're like, well, I have no way of knowing that that's not Sean, but you could have a devastated mother seeing a pile of bones in the shelter. Early on in the game, just early on in the vault. And you're like, oh, something happened here. I don't know. And then maybe you're on the mystery then to find out what happened. But you certainly don't think your son's alive. Either way, all I'm saying is the entire premise, the basis of the story, just terrible. Absolutely awful. The weakest part of the game, which is a shame because everything else is really good. Like, genuinely really good. I enjoyed practically everything else a lot. I love the Silver Shroud stuff. I loved bumping into like visual storytelling of where skeletons were and what these people were probably doing. All that stuff was very, very enjoyable. Just the main story and the bugs massively let down and real sad. Then we went to Far Harbor. Considerably better. Not great, but considerably better. Far Harbor much more is a DLC of an island where they have a much more confined and limited space to work in, which is better for storytelling. There isn't too many different deviations from the path that the player can go on here, which means you can really dial in to what's going on. And the main story of Far Harbor is you find this humanoid settlement, but it's an island unto itself, like taken away from everything that's happening in Boston, where there is a synth stronghold where they're summoning synths. They're bringing synths in to be safe, right? You're not safe anywhere else because certainly the Brotherhood is roaming and all those kind of things. But escaped synths from the Institute can come here to Arcadia and be safe. We also have another element, which is the Children of Atom, also are stationed here on a nuclear submarine in one of the harbors. And that's the dynamic that's going on. That trifecta dynamic is what's happening on the island. And that's it. Brilliant. So good. Because now they could really play around with various ideas about how these three entities would interact. And the player gets choices rather quickly, because it is a DLC, it's not super lengthy, of are you going to help Arcadia and the synths? Are you going to help the people of Far Harbor, the humans, who are being set upon by this bizarre fog that summons monsters within inside it? You know, the monsters roam within the fog. Are you going to maybe side with the Children of Atom if you want to and worship the cult? They all kind of hate each other for one reason or another. And more backstory comes out is that originally the previous leader of the Children of Atom worked with the leaders of the synths, but the leader of the synth actually deleted his own memory of things he'd done in the past because it would be better. That he didn't know. Like, he did terrible things. It would be better if he didn't know. And the people of Far Harbor just want independence from the constant waves of attacks that are coming from monsters and the Children of Atom who want to eradicate them because they don't worship the Atom. All this is going on at the same time. They don't trust some of the synths. Some of them do. And it led to having some butterfly effect choices of who you could side with. The biggest thing I picked up on that they didn't really explore was the synths put out like a radio signal. That's how you're led there, is a girl has run away from her parents and she believes she's a synth. And this message of safe harbor for the synths, she feels, you know, unique. She feels like she hasn't got a really good connection with the parents in terms of who she was. And she believes she's a synth, or maybe not, but there's a safe place here that's away from the monotony and the nightmare that she's living in Boston. And my question was, that I really thought was going to be intriguing, is, are the people here actually synths? Or are they bringing in humans or whatever it might be, telling them they might be synths? Because at this point, there's not really a way to know whether you're a synth or not. You don't know. Like, we could find out as players because the temptation was there. It's like, what if we just killed everybody and found out if they're synths or not? Like, you could do that, obviously, but you shouldn't. In terms of the story, you shouldn't do that. It's more a case of like, these might all be humans. Like, there might only be 1 or 2 synths here, but the rest of them are humans who have been convinced they're synths in order to help their cause and help them do things. I thought that was really interesting. Like, the children of Atom are kind of straight up. They just want to blow everything up, right? And the obvious other side of it is the humanoid settlement at Far Harbor has probably got synths in it because there's a lot of synths on the island. Maybe. You don't know. Have they been replaced? That's what synths have been doing, right? This is what the Institute has been doing, is replacing people with synths. They didn't go too deep into that. It did turn out that there was a bunch of these things, but I will say, like, that whole intrigue of what was happening, trying to figure out what was going on, tricking the children of Atom to join them, all these elements of Far Harbor were far better. Like, it just proved once again this scope of giant open world games, just in terms of an RPG, just seems to play better, unless you're like, Obsidian or someone like that, they just play better in a smaller environment where the player can't just wander off for days, literally days of game time, and then come back to something later on like it just happened. If you keep it pretty concise in a more single-player fashion, which is a single-player game, but it's like open world, do whatever you want type of aspect, it just plays better. You're constantly reinforcing the main overarching story, right? There's little side stories going on, sure, but the main story itself of what's happening here is constantly in play. It's not in the base game. Like, the main story comes and then goes away for days and days, and then you return to it again with that bizarre sense of urgency. So Far Harbor I really enjoyed. Overall, I had 1 day of bug errors and fixes, and the MSQ, the main story, which I didn't like, took up a fraction of the time I played Fallout 4. Everything else I really, really enjoyed. I never heard, this was a big meme, is a settlement needs another help. That line I don't think was ever said to me. So obviously I'm playing a version that's had a lot of tweaks and changes. But I would recommend this. It's a solid B, is what I'd say. I can't get over that there's issues with it. There is. It's a solid B, right? It's a high C. High C, low B. But if you can get around the bugs and you can deal with the occasional crash, right, the Bethesda crashes, and you kind of ignore the main story, there's a really wonderful game here. Like, a really, really wonderful game. It absolutely craps on Starfield. I don't know what Starfield's like now. I played it at launch, but it absolutely craps on that. There's far more going on. There's better out there, but it's decent. I'm happy I played it, is what I would say. I'm happy I played it. It was nowhere near as bad as people made it out to be at all. Like, people are saying it's one of the worst games of all time. That is just fundamentally not true in my eyes. I think it was pretty good. So yeah, Fallout 4. Look forward to see what you guys have to say. See you later. Bye-bye.